Up next on the podcast, we have Tavel Joseph Bristol, pastry chef extraordinaire, part of the Emmer and Ryan team out of Austin, Texas.
The reason why we're showing up is because we're seeing that thing and we're like, nah, that's what we're going to get when we go there. That shit looks amazing. Social media just does that for the common folks. It creates this illusion and you can buy into it or not. But I think it's just amplifying what's already present that we don't talk about.
Yeah.
So if you're smart enough, you're able to use it as a tool. If you're not, it can also be the double-edged sword we're talking about. It can consume you into something, which is what we all live by. We live in this world that you have the choice to be consumed by nonsense or something of substance.
Yeah.
You make your decision.
Yeah, wow. Very well said. Jesus. I think we're going to wrap it up there, man. Let's start talking about you moving to the United States. Mm. What was that like in, was it 2017?
I think it's 20, yes, 2017. Right. We're talking June, July.
Yeah. So you had already been playing around with baking.
Yeah. Because in high school there, your last 2 years of high school, you choose a trade in Guyana because there's not many colleges.
Right.
So for what the government did is create a system in where you can leave high school and go right into the workforce.
Genius.
So you get to learn communications, which is if you want to do clerical work, technical drawing if you want to be an architect, a woodworker, a home economics.
But this was just for
all
trades.
Of that. All trades. And you have to choose.
Yeah. But if you wanted to go to university.
If you want to go to, you have to do a trade that sets you up for university. And the trade that would be communications.
I see.
So that would set you up to get into university to study whatever else you want.
Okay.
And then there was this college, Carnegie, I think, which was, they had a culinary program. So in high school, you do home economics and then you get set up to go to that program.
Right.
If not, you go right into the workforce. So most people in the Caribbean, you're finding 25-year-old professionals in big jobs based on the fact that you come straight out of high school.
But they already have, 6-7 years of training on job training.
Exactly, before you even...
Yeah.
Right. So you come out, you do 2-3 years in a college, and you're ready to go straight into the work.
And you gravitated towards pastries.
I gravitated towards pastry. I just had a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
Loved it. Love sugar.
Never thought about doing savory food.
Never.
Yeah.
Never. It was always, I've always loved the sweet, even when I was baking, I've always loved the sweet side. I liked the food that was being provided, but I would gravitate towards the pound cakes, the cookies, and stuff like that. I used to eat so much candy as a kid, bro. So much candy. I used to, bro, terrible stories, bro. I used to open the Skittles bag, all the flavors, I would ball them up together and put the whole thing in my mouth and just walk around until it melts.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Put that on the menu.
I know. All the flavors.
So what was the conversation you had with your family about moving to the United States? Had you been to the United States before?
No.
So this is first time out, 17 years old.
Yeah.
Got my little hobo pack on my stick. Heading to New York.
I can see the picture now.
Yeah, right.
No, what happened was my mom was trying to get me to come to the U.S. since I was 10 years old. But there you have to apply for the visa and go through all that process. And we were just never getting through.
Yeah.
Because I grew up as Tavel Joseph. That's everybody in high school know me as that. My mom's name is Deborah Bristol. So all my family had already moved. My father's side of the family was in Guyana, but my mom's side, I only had 1 or 2 relatives that was still in Guyana. Everyone was
so your mom was already here?
Already there.
Oh, so it wasn't like you landed on Ellis Island?
No. It's the backstory is crazy.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
She came here since I was probably a year old.
Yeah.
And she couldn't come back because she came...
Right.
So we were, she was trying to get me and she had to get herself situated. So it's a lot of things. My father is who I grew up with, but he got he passed away when I was like 7 years old.
Oh man.
So with that, growing up with grandparents, uncle, aunt, family, friend, I kind of moved around a lot.
So
in
everybody
Guyana.
raised you.
Everybody.
Yeah.
So I was able to see different aspects and different corners of.
I mean, that's a strong family unit, though.
Yeah. I think on both sides. Like when you talk about black family, like, a best friend is an auntie.
Right.
And auntie is literally going to take care of you if your mom can't or your grandmother can't. And that's how it is. I grew up with different family members, different aunties that were never family members until I was older is when I realized, no, that was just your grandmother's best friend. I'm like, oh, that's it.
It's totally normal to you when you tell that story to someone else. You're just like...
Right, like how is she connected?
Did you never felt like, we're getting off topic, but you never felt like, I don't know if burden is the right word, or you never felt, did you ever feel like you were misplaced or you were, not a burden, but like you didn't belong, or like I'm here and I'm kind of like,
Oh, yeah. Well, what I would say is, to be completely honest, I've always felt, and to this day, I've always felt in whatever situation I'm in, I'm better than that situation, and I'm bigger than that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I have more to offer the world than what I'm currently doing. So my life is almost devoted to constantly be changing and constantly be thinking about ways on how I can become or be my full potential, because I think that there's a purpose in my life to be able to achieve certain things, not for self, but for others. And that's why the hospitality makes sense for me, because for me, it's not even about being a best cook or a chef. It's about how do we serve and where do I play my part in that. So I will always feel like I'm bigger than any box that I'm in. And I'm always going to be thinking about ways on how to overcome that. So the entire time I was in Guyana, going through the things I was going through, I knew that I was bigger than this. And this can't be it for me. So when a right opportunity comes, I will seize that opportunity.
Fuck, you want to go deep?
Let's go.
Let's go deep. Where do you think that comes from? And I only say that because as you're talking, it related to a lot of how me and my brother are. And I can say, like, some of my other family members don't think like this. I think it's a very select few, very small percentage of people that wake up every morning like we do and say, or even feel like, it took me a long time, like I'm 47 now, and it took me a really long time to realize that there's something bigger than me. I don't know what I believe in spirituality. I think that there's a lot of things at play in the universe, and I believe one thing for a while, and then I kind of like get new information, I shift to think of something else. But I've always felt like there's some sort of purpose that I have here.
Yeah.
And as I'm going through these stages of life and I feel I'm shedding my old life and the way that I used to think, and I'm gaining new information, new data, and I'm reaching another plateau of this person that I'm supposed to become, and I don't know where this is going. And sometimes I feel like I'm not on that road anymore, and sometimes I feel like I'm on that road and there's something bigger, and I'm here to help the people around me, and I'm here to rise the people up and give them better opportunities. And that's the hill that me and Matthew are dying on at Iggy's. It's, like we talked before, how much money do you need?
Right.
It gets to a certain point where, Elon Musk has how many billions now? It's like, I can't even comprehend what that is.
Right.
Because I'm making baseline pay, and I'm very happy.
Right.
Because I have my business, I have the people that we're empowering. But
the
question that I want to ask is, when do you think like that little seed started turning into a fire, and you started really recognizing that you're here for a purpose, and that purpose is to serve, to be hospitable, to something greater? And do you know what that purpose is, and is it constantly always changing?
Yeah. Good question. I think it's something that you're gifted with.
Yeah.
I don't think that everyone wakes up with that same mentality and drive, right? And a lot of times we associate that purpose with drive because we use that person, right? We use that to drive us to become. And we use the universe to inspire us. So that's the three sections, I think, of like when we talk about how human behavior and how we operate in the world. We need a purpose. We need to believe in something. We need to also use that to inspire us to get up every single day and work towards this thing. So I've felt that way, but I think what I can say is that I got to a place where that I didn't know how to express what I felt. I didn't know how to articulate what I felt when I was that age, because I can say I've discovered it when I was probably about 16 years old is when I say to myself, this is how, because before that it was this dissatisfied was the only thing I can comprehend, or not, or the only way I can say that I was just dissatisfied with where I was and what I was doing.
Well, you were put on a road by other people.
Exactly,
and now
right?
You're choosing
and
your own
you're
road.
like,
You're like, this is fucking bullshit.
this is and you're living it every day, and you're like,
right,
shit, this is bullshit. I don't,
yeah.
I don't know why I'm in this space, right? And you're going through it the entire time. And then when I got to 17, where my mom was in my life, my brother, my sister, like when they come into my life, that's when I switch that mindset of I'm uncomfortable to I have a higher purpose. Yeah. It's the same feeling. You just find a different way to say it. And you understand the feeling, so now you can put vocabulary to that, right? And so I would say at that point in my life is when I'm like, okay, if I have a higher purpose, then now I'm in search of the thing that made me feel that way. Right. So I started to do a lot of internal work based on the fact of like, okay, well, how do I get emotionally intelligent now? Because as a man, you have to be emotionally intelligent to be able to control the things around you.
Right. Or to control your feelings.
Your
feelings,
emotions, right? You have to be. It's the hardest thing. But at that point, I am like, this is what I have to do. Because I came with a lot of anger and frustration, thinking about, if you think about growing up in a third world country and having, different people coming in and out of your life and being connected so closely to things that are both negative and, what's not socially accepted. Let's just say that. You have to kind of find a lot of internal strength to navigate through that, to keep yourself and your mind on the right track.
Right.
So all of those emotions and stuff is going on as a kid, and you're trying to figure it out. But I think when I got to cooking and seeing how that affected a relationship, and seeing how someone's eyes lights up when you show up in a certain way, is when I was like, oh, well, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be thinking, because now I'm not just feeding you, I'm feeding my soul. So I feel like this is what it is, and this is what I'm doing to get there. Yeah. I bet. Well, this is the trait that I'm gonna continue on this path and see where it takes me. And while I'm doing that, I'm realizing that people around me, I'm starting to be more present in those conversations. I'm starting to be more present with those relationships. And that's when you realize, well, shit, my purpose is not just cooking. My purpose is to, all the struggles that I've been through, I gotta share this shit. Yeah. I gotta be able, because I can see your perspective, I can see mine, I can see the other, and I can find a common ground so we can coexist in the same space. Right. So now my purpose is bigger than just the plate. I'm feeling myself in a way in which I can share. And then we can keep going on
that's
that.
The grind.
But that's where that started, I think, is in that place of switching the way I view the world and how I want it to operate within the world.
Right. I mean, it's a constant struggle every day.
Oh, yeah.
It's constant work.
Yeah. It's just like
some days you win, some days you lose.
It's a relationship with yourself.
Yeah. Right.
Just like relationship with your partner, the relationship with yourself have to also be the same.
Yeah. I found a quote when I was traveling when these things come in and out of your life when you need them, and you find these little pieces of information when you need it the most, even though it's been sitting there the whole time.
Right.
It just hits you. And I found this quote when I needed it. And I was traveling, and I didn't know if I wanted to cook anymore, and I had just left this restaurant group, and I was in Copenhagen or on my way to Japan or something. I was like, what am I doing? I'm just kind of traveling the world cooking. And the quote was, I have no desire to be better than anybody else. I just want to be better than how I was yesterday.
That's it.
And I was like, or I'm in competition with nobody. I have no desire to be better than anybody else. I just want to be a better person than I was yesterday. And I was like,
that's perfect.
Fuck.
Yeah. I live my life by that.
Same.
I live my life
Same.
that way.
Yeah. Same.
People ask me, who are you? Who inspires you? What cookbooks do you read?
Yeah.
And I sometimes I feel bad.
I haven't read a cookbook in 10 years.
Do that. Right. And then I was like, I just don't. And they're like, I was like, I just love to do what I do.
Yeah.
Like I don't sit around looking at what other people are doing.
Right.
If I'm good with you, I'm going to look at what you're doing and be like, dope, I'm happy for
that's
my boy
my guy.
to
Yeah,
win.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
But I don't ever sit down and say, let me see who's doing what out there so
Right.
I can be, because bro, it's self-sabotage.
It's weird. Yeah.
It's self-sabotage. You will never be good enough.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
And again, you got to have that relationship with yourself where you protect your mind and you protect your peace, man.
Yeah.
And so you got to live in the world that makes you comfortable, and you create your world in that sense. So that quote speaks deep, and I felt that. I live my life that way every single day, bro.
Yeah.
I do what I do because I want to do it, because I'm excited about it. Sometimes I create some shit, and then I see somebody else got it already. I'm like, damn, where did I get that inspiration from? I know I didn't see their shit.
Totally.
How did I get it?
I fucking say that all the time. All the time, man.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
I don't know if it's because the human psyche is on like the same bandwidth. Like there's a thing of they taught these lab rats how to, I'm going to bastardize the story, but the bones of the story. They taught these lab rats how to do something. And it was like something kind of weird. And then all of a sudden, rats in New York were doing it. So it's like almost like their psyche was all on. It's like they downloaded all that information and everybody just knew how to do it.
Right.
And I swear sometimes when I make stuff and I'm like, oh, I just came up with this, and like an hour later I'll be like, what the fuck? So it's like I don't know. Somebody has the same idea as you do at the same time. I always equate it to what I'm doing is in trend or slightly above the trend, or I'm kind of like thinking like, what would I want to eat at this particular moment, and someone else is thinking the same thing.
The same thing.
We just kind of create
and going
the
through
same
that
dish with
bro,
the same
100%.
ingredients, the same presentation.
But think about this in the human race perspective. Let's just think about it in that thing, right? There's things that you love that you didn't even it just naturally, like, I love this.
Yeah.
And let's say a tradition that your family have done before you even existed, that all of a sudden you come and you're like, I actually really like to sing, and your mom or somebody say, your grandmother loved that.
Yeah.
Or your grandfather used to wake up every day and go pick those olives or whatever. And you're like, is that why I like olive oil so much? Just that psyche, bro.
Yeah.
It's real.
Of
and
the same DNA being reproduced, the same DNA
Yes,
into
man.
children, into other children, into
And it just
go
keeps
back
going.
how many generations to try to find out why I like salt on apples, you know?
Exactly.
Because there was some sort of famine somewhere in Cuba, you know, or whatever the fuck, you know?
Exactly, dude.
All right, that's enough side missions. Let's try to get back on target here. Okay, so you land in the United States.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
go to school in New York.
New York restaurant school.
New York restaurant school.
Yeah.
You did your first internship at
River
Bluefin,
Cafe.
or River Cafe.
Yeah.
River Cafe.
Worked there for 5 years.
Jesus.
Right out of school.
Yeah, I mean, great place to get started.
Great place to get started. I didn't even know it was at the time.
Yeah.
I seriously,
that's a big deal New York restaurant.
bro,
Yeah.
I didn't know that until a year of working there.
No kidding.
No kidding.
Who was all in the kitchen then?
Who was running the
So
kitchen?
who was all in the kitchen?
Man, I had Brad Steelman. He's been there. He's still there.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's been there the entire time. That man, bro, I've learned so much
God
from him.
bless him. How do you stay at a job forever?
I don't know if he got a piece of it or what,
Yeah, maybe.
but
I hope so.
but he's been there. I went back there like last year. He was there. I went and
Yeah.
pulled up on him.
Yeah.
Still looking the same, full of energy and everything, bro. I was like, man, I know I look older.
Yeah.
I had Ellen Sterno. I had Francisco that's at Noma right now.
Oh, no kidding.
The pastry chef.
Yeah.
He was there as a sous when I was there.
Good for him.
Yeah, beast, dude.
Yeah.
Since then, I was
Yeah.
crushing. So just like it was a really diverse kitchen. It was very, I think I didn't know what I was getting into. I got there just because a friend of mine that was in culinary school was working there. And he's like, oh, you can do your internship here too. And just told me the name. And the only thing I cared about the fact that it was in Brooklyn and it was an easy one train ride for me. So I was like, cool, I'll go there.
Man. Yeah,
and I'm just gonna go and start working there. And actually I went in to do an interview to do my internship. While I'm talking to the pastry chef, her name was Carrie Dunville, she's like, yeah, so, I'll pay you this much an hour and you can start. And in my mind, I was like, oh, you think I'm doing a job interview? So I just kept going on it. I was like, yeah, hey, whatever you have, I'll be taking. She's like, I can do $8 an hour. That's the most I can get for somebody like you. And I was like, absolutely, I'll take it.
Yeah.
She's like, when can you start? And I remember before I left the house, my uncle said, if anyone offer you a job, tell them you can start tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely.
No matter what.
Great advice.
Start tomorrow.
Yep.
So I was like, tomorrow? She's like, well, I actually do need somebody to start. And I started the next day.
Nice.
After that interview. And the whole train ride home, I'm thinking, how do I tell her that I need to do my internship? Because I still have to get the chef to sign this damn papers. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to wait a week. And then I'm going to tell her that my internship has started. So I waited, and then I went to her. I was like, hey, Miss Carey, this is what it is. I'm still, and they're trying to let me to do my internship. And since I'm here, I would love to do it here or what. She was like, absolutely, just sign the paper.
Yeah.
And she signed all the weeks. So all I had to do was fill out my hours and give it in every week. And that's how I ended up working there, bro. I really went in there to just work for free.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting a job, and I just stuck with it.
And you learn the foundation of everything there.
Foundation of everything. I learned when you talk about, for me, it was my first professional kitchen, and there was a level of standard and quality that they would never go below, right? So in a space like that, you learn how if something is not to the standard, you do not compromise. I learned that there. I learned the importance of status from guests coming in, like Mariah Carey's coming in. It's that. So it doesn't matter your skin color. None of that shit matters. Status matters. That in a space like that, it's all about status.
Right.
And so
status could be this guy's been here 50 times over the last 2 years.
Exactly.
That's just as much status as Mariah Carey.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? This person that you may never know that got $1 billion company that comes in every Wednesday. Yeah. That's the person that we put front before anyone else.
Right.
But it was that kind of energy there. Man, I learned and grew so much from that. Francisca is the one that sent me to Room for Dessert. Mm-hmm. When I was a young kid, 17 years old, I went to that space.
What was that,
just to see what it is. Yeah, just to see.
Yeah, in New York.
In New York.
Yeah, it was 2005, I think, or 6,
I was probably, I feel like I was like 17, 18 when I went to that place. And went in there. And that's what inspired the new concept.
Of course,
is that moment of seeing dessert on the front page. And at that time, I had cornrows. I had a big, Latrell Spraywell was big at the time. Everybody had the big chain, the cornrows. Iverson was having the cornrow game.
Yeah.
I was like, I need that. So I was like, I looked completely different, bro. And I was just kind of, in a sense, I really didn't care about trying to be the best chef. I was so focused on trying to learn this
Learn
country.
as much as you can.
I was so full
Yeah.
of
Oh
trying-
yeah, even you. You're in a new
I
country.
was.
Yeah. Right,
bro. Like
right.
I was trying to find friends. I had a natural gift, but that was not my main focus. I did my job when I was there. But if you had asked me in that time, I would have told you I wanted to be a pastry chef based on the fact of that's the right thing to say, and I think that's what you wanted to hear.
Yeah.
But that was not my focus.
I think I mean I speak for myself, but I think you're on the same page. At least now, what I've learned, definitely through the pandemic, is cooking is what I do, but I don't want it to define me.
Yeah.
Even though I do it really well and I love it so much, and it's definitely takes up the majority of my life. There's other things that I have to offer.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel kind of the same way.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Does
No,
cooking...
this is my podcast. Guy, ask
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm talking. But does cooking come easy to you now? Where, people I run into like people like, man, how did you think about this? And to me, I'm like, I was in the shower and I felt like this was something I need to do, and it's natural. It was easy. I understand the flavors. Are you in that place where you don't have to sit down and study anymore to come up with a great dish?
No, not at all. That's why I haven't read a cookbook in forever. I mean, I'll tell you that I can pinpoint the precise moment that happened. Is I traveled for a long time. I was at my very lowest in like 2013. I didn't even know if I wanted to cook anymore. So I quit and I just went and staged everywhere. So I was with Noma for a while. I was with Dan Barber. I was with Mark Vetri. And all these chefs, they helped me get my mojo back. I backpack across Southeast Asia. I was in China. I was in Australia. I was gone 2 years, just out in the wilderness, not thinking of anything, not thinking of what kind of restaurant I want to open or getting a job. I took my life savings out of the bank and I'm like, this better fucking work, And as I slowly started to like reconnect with food a little bit, it kind of changed my whole mindset of what I wanted to do. And when I went to Catbird, I could say Catbird Seat was the first time that I created dishes without any outside influence. I might have been like a marinade from here, a sauce from here.
Right,
but these were the first time that I was actually creating dishes on my own.
Oh.
And it was very fine dining and it was very stressful and I wanted to, be creative and stuff. But it was the pandemic where I turned my house into a private dinner party for like a year and a half, and it was groups of 6 or 10. Everybody had to know everybody. Everybody had to know their friends. It was an underground restaurant that I was running, and you could get the email address if I knew you or you had come to one of the dinners. I didn't want strangers in my house. I wanted people that I knew, and the freedom that it allowed me, because there was no concept of a restaurant. I didn't have to adhere to, well, this is a steakhouse, I gotta have this, or this is a Japanese restaurant. It was literally would go from, I'd make a little dashi broth with some crab, and the next dish would just be a plate of hummus with like beautiful raw vegetables.
Right.
And I was literally every Monday morning, I only did on Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and I would deep clean the house on Sundays. Monday, I would take everything out of the fridge and I would just look at it and I would just write a menu. Text the farmers, what do you got? I'm coming to pick this up.
Yeah.
And it was so much freedom in my life to just cook whatever the fuck I wanted.
Right.
Whereas of, a year ago, there's no way I would have put a hummus dish on the menu anywhere. The people were just so happy to be out. I haven't seen these friends in months and we're just so happy.
Right.
And that's when I realized like we're in the hospitality industry.
Right.
The most hospitable thing you can do is invite someone into your home and cook them dinner.
Right.
And it didn't fucking matter what they were eating.
Right.
Like it was good. Like it was good.
Yeah.
And I tried to make it as best as I could. And I was creative in my own right. I was being creative because I wanted to be creative.
Right.
Not because I felt the pressure to be creative. And I think like the pandemic really set me up to open up Iggy's.
Wow.
To just be like, we're making pasta and it's going to be fucking delicious.
Right.
And this might be the most classic, cacio e pepe, or it might be just a spaghetti aglio olio, and then right next to it there might be something with miso and yuzu and dashi and kombu, but it's just going to be wrapped up in a hospitality aspect with my brother and inviting people in. And I really settled into who I am as a person, the type of chef that I am, and I just want to cook delicious food that people like, and I want them to be happy when they leave.
Love that.
So yeah, that. And I can pinpoint the time in my life where I started realizing the bigger picture, and I started shedding the old person that I was, and I started climbing that mountain to get to that next plateau of, boom, this is where I'm at. And I feel like I'm in a really good place right now. And I was in this relationship, and I had changed, and I was changing, and I saw the change happening, and that person wasn't changing with me. I gotta go. I gotta go, man. You can't be on this journey with me, man. And it sucked. I evolved beyond, and I knew it wasn't going anywhere, and that hurt a lot. And I feel like I'm on that plateau right now, and I'm starting to like, what's the next thing, man? There's people that work around me. There's chefs here that don't know how to write a business plan. There's people that want to open restaurants. There's people that are committed to what we're doing. So let's bring them in and let's start helping everybody around us. And I feel like I'm starting to climb that again. That's awesome. I'm excited to see what the next plateau is going to be, because there's a lot of good energy and good people. And I have my brother. And there's a lot of good people around me right now. So I'm excited to see where this is going. You know?
I feel you, man. I feel you. I'm living in that too. It's a beautiful place to be.
I feel like you're there too. Just talking with you, I feel like, okay, you got this going on, you got the restaurants with Kevin, and you're kind of like, okay, things are good, like, but there's, what's the bigger purpose?
We have the purpose, right. And we gotta preach.
And you have to preach.
We gotta preach. You gotta preach.
You have to bring people along with you.
Absolutely, man. Everyone needs that gospel, so you gotta continue to share as much as you can.
It makes me feel good. It's like I almost get more joy out of like helping someone else out. Like there's this guy David that works for us, and he wants to open his own restaurant. He's doing it really smart. He's going very slow. And Scott is with us too, and he's working on something. And David is just, every day coming in and asking me business questions. How do you do this? This is the lawyer you got to use. Let's sit down every Tuesday. Let's talk about this. Let me look at your business plan. And over the last year, he's like, okay, I'm fucking ready now. You and Matthew gave me so much tools, and he's starting with a little food truck, and he's slowly working it in. But now he knows what it takes. He knows the journey that he's on. Right. Difference is like, when I was 22 years old, I want to own my own restaurant. I had no fucking idea what that even meant.
Exactly.
Right? What I know now is there's nothing to do with cooking. It doesn't have anything to do with cooking, man. So it's like that. 100%. It's like the joy of seeing David like getting on that road and understanding that road and asking the right questions. It's like, yeah, man, we're here to help you. Call me at any time. That's what I want to do.
Good, man. Good. Yeah. I love that, man. I love that. That's a good place to be, man. Right. I'm happy for that. Happy for that.
I mean, so many people have helped me along the way to get to where I'm at. Intentionally, unintentionally, they've given me information, and I just want to, first of all, make those people proud from what I'm doing, and said, the time that you spent with me was good time, and you put it into like a good situation. I'm trying to do the best that I can with it. And now I want to take that information, I want to start passing it on to other people so that they can look back and say, Ryan helped me. And not so much to say like, I helped this guy. Just the gratification that I know that their life is better because our paths have crossed. And my life is better too.
It's something interesting you just said, right? Like making the people that support you proud. That's a very humbling thing to say because you're a successful man. And for a successful person to still be humble enough to say that I want to make the person that poured into me or the people that poured into me proud. It's a very humbling position you're putting yourself into and saying that I will continue to grow. And I think that that's really important for any one of us that has obtained a certain level of success is to remain and hold on to that humbleness as we continue to grow, because it can spiral out of control. And we've talked to so many people that are like, they're too proud to say that I learned from this person. They say a lot of, I did this on my own. And exactly, it's completely not true. But they don't have the courage to say,
they twist the truth.
To say that, you know what, I did get help along the way. And not only that, I still care what those people think.
Right.
And I want to make them proud. So thank you for saying that. I think that right there is something that you do not hear people in our level in the industry saying often enough.
I
They
agree.
think it. They don't
think
say
it
it.
a lot. I know it's been doing a lot of reflection. Like I'm gonna turn 48 here in a couple months, and it's like,
Ain't.
yeah. Imagine how I feel.
I'll mess with you.
I don't-
Yeah, you look good for that
Thanks,
age, though,
but
man.
I was at a fucking birthday party. My friend turned 50. Got another friend that just turned 52.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do I got? 30 years left? If I'm lucky.
Mm.
30, 35, 25, you know?
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of fucking reflection. Just like, and the reflection just hits me. It's not like I think about it. We're all grabbing an old recipe book. And I'll fucking like, oh, Chef Tom's Brownies, of like the first chef I ever worked for. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. He hasn't seen, you know, and I'm like, fuck, I wish Tom could fucking like have dinner here. I'll flip through the recipe book, like, and it takes me back to that particular moment of that 18-year-old kid walking in that kitchen, not knowing anything. And this guy's like, you just come with me, man. I'll show you what you need to know. And then the next place set me up. I learned everything that I needed at that particular moment to go to the next place, to have the confidence to walk on the line and know how to set a station up.
Yeah.
Know how to put my Bain Marie in the proper place. Know how to keep a clean station. And then that restaurant gave me the cooking skills to set me up to the next one. And I feel like I started out at like a banquet facility, then I was at a country club doing like catering and weddings and cooking the line and doing lunch, and then I went to a busy bistro, and then I went to a super fine dining old school French restaurant, and then I went to the French Laundry, and then I went to Spain. It's like inadvertently I didn't choose, I need to go here. I feel like kids these days, they have all the data to like plan out their whole fucking career. Like I want to be this, and this is what I need to do.
Right.
As opposed to me, I was just like taking jobs as they came,
Right.
not knowing that this thing in life that I'm doing is setting me up for the next. Like you could say the same thing about relationships too.
Right.
Going back to like shedding that person, of like learning so much from a relationship, whether it's a friend, a family member, a lover, and then that thing ends for whatever reason. Maybe it's your fault, maybe it's your not, but then you get into the next one a little bit smarter. I'm not going to make these mistakes. I want to do better. I need to do better. To make this work, I need to fucking do better. And things happen, things evolve with a business partner or whatever, and you just fucking have to work on it, man. Every aspect of life, restaurant, your own personal life, the things that you think about that you never share with anybody, the relationship with your wife or your girlfriend, the relationship with your family, the relationship with your friends, business partners, all of it fucking takes work. And if you don't work at it, then it gets into a deficit. Once it's in a deficit, it's so much harder to get it out of there. Once you lose someone's trust, once you say something you shouldn't have said, it's hard to take that back. I think the older that I get, I'm a little bit more careful, a little bit more measured. I still have that overflowing empathy that I want to try to help as much as I can, but putting that energy in the right places right now, instead of just like, I'm here. Now it's like, hey, I could go and I can read the room and be like, okay, Matthew's really tired, so I'm going to work a little bit more in this area to kind of help him cover out so he doesn't have to run around the restaurant like a crazy person. The guys on the line got it. Let's change the menu just to keep it spicy for them so they're not getting bored, you know? And everything's just kind of like, you're just balancing it out, man, you know?
Bro, it's, and that, I mean, one, that's a great trait to serve, but even more importantly, I think that that comes from experience and the comfortability within oneself.
Once you know who you are.
When you find out who you are, and some people it come early and some people it comes later.
People never get it.
But you know, us thinking that our life, like we're in control and we have the perfect recipe to be able to fix our lives or set our lives up for certain things, I think we don't. I truly don't believe that we have the capacity to identify or anticipate what the next thing is. I think we all have a want and a need, and we can take small steps to do those things. But when you sit back and look at it, you didn't really take those steps. The opportunity presented itself and you were able to see clearly.
Yes.
The opportunity has always
Right.
been there, and the drive and the willingness to do it. So what you're talking about with the time that you have, which is the same here, right? There's a time, we have a time limit on us. Naturally, you're doing this conversation we're having that's being recorded is us creating the data for what's gonna happen after us.
Right.
So just like how you reading that book and you're like seeing or remembering that chef, that story, that experience, that connection that was made in that moment. When we are gone, the restaurant that we've created, people are gonna, whoever worked there, is gonna talk about that. And we've created that space.
Yeah.
This conversation, it's going to live on outside of us. Somebody's gonna pick up that thing, dust it off real quick, and put it in and see this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Our kids are gonna see that and be like, "Shit!"
Right.
Like that's our cousin, our aunt, our parents, whoever. They're gonna see that.
Right.
And we're setting ourselves up naturally to create our legacy that goes on after us. And if we were having this conversation 10 years ago, we would have not known that we would have been having a podcast, having a conversation.
It would have been a different,
It would have been a completely different thing.
conversation.
But subconsciously, we're always pushing and driving and sharing. And that's why I believe we end up achieving the things that we do, because a little bit of it comes with being prepared for the next. But majority of it, I think, is out of our control. I think that if we accept the universe for what it is, respect the universe, and understand that, you know, being able to be present is the biggest gift you can give yourself, because all the things that we are thinking that we have to wait years to achieve, or we think we're not ready for, and all of the negative things that we say, the voices that we hear in our head, they're not always true. We just are not convincing ourselves enough to be able to see what's present. And the only way you can do that is by finding comfort within and being able to walk into the restaurant and see and analyze and read the room to be able to be more effective.
Right.
Same thing in life.
Yeah.
You just have to take that moment. That's why going on vacations are important. That's why removing yourself from the restaurant is important, because you have to take the moment to sit back and say, wow, what this is things that are happening. I would have not noticed this if I was so focused on this thing.
Right.
And now I can take advantage of that opportunity that may come up in front of me that I wouldn't have otherwise even thought of.
Yeah. You talk to Kevin about this stuff?
A little bit.
Yeah.
We get deeper moments.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah. Because I'm all about information that fuels the soul. And I'm all about thinking about ways on how to create space. And, you know, opening kanji, that was the first, I think, experiment for me of how do we not talk about food, but talk about energy.
Right.
How do we create a space that have these visual cues that says this is where you are, without someone even seeing the menu? That's the energy that I am super excited
So
about.
what went into building that restaurant? How did that all come about?
That came about in simple terms. When I moved to Austin, I Googled Caribbean restaurant, because when you move to a city, that's the thing that connects you to a city is food, right? Your culture, finding yourself, finding a representation of you in a space makes you more comfortable. And when I was looking, there was none. They had one food truck that was there. And I'm like, I feel weird with this being the representation of my culture. I'm not comfortable with that. No, it was a Jamaican food truck, right? And it was very much, but what it was is, it wasn't presented in the way, it was in the styrofoam box. And I'm just like, we're better. Our food is better than that. And it should be showcased better. So that's been in the back of my mind the whole time. I didn't know I was going to open Kanji. I knew that I wanted to be a part of that because the goal was just to open Emmer and Ryan and then now Nicosi, which is the dessert bar. So it didn't have Nicosi name to it yet. It was just a dessert bar I wanted to do.
Yeah.
That was the two concepts that we were going to open.
But that started the dessert bar. That's what you always wanted to do.
Always wanted since I was 17.
Right.
So it was, okay, Kev, I'm going to collab with you. I'm going to partner with you on this, and then you're going to partner with me on that. That's the deal. And then let's move forward. And then opportunities come. Mm-hmm. So when the pandemic hit is when I truly believe is when Kanji actually came to life more, because then when that was like George Floyd was happening, like there was a lot happening in that time frame. And I'm sitting back and I'm saying that I've been complaining that we don't have cultural representation in food in Austin when it comes to Caribbean. Mm-hmm. We don't have enough of it. What am I doing about it? Because my desserts.
Great fucking question to ask, man.
My desserts is not it.
Yeah.
Because we didn't come. There's amazing desserts in Guyana, right? It's very simple, basic shit.
Well, they created the souffle.
Right. Yeah. My bad.
Yeah, maybe my notes are wrong. Anyway, let's move on.
So my career has never been a focus on representation of culture. It's been representation of art.
Yes.
And inspiration.
Yeah, and your talents.
Talents, pure talents, mm-hmm. Nothing personal. Mm-hmm. So this now was a situation that showed up that was personal. And then I said, if someone else comes to this city and they Google Caribbean restaurant and I allow them to have the same feeling that I had when I Googled Caribbean restaurant. And that's on me, mm-hmm. because I have a platform now. I have successful restaurants. What am I doing about that? And I had to get out of my own head because I didn't thought that I could have. I had to say, no, I am worthy of this. And now I am on the platform. It's like that Kanye West song, wait till I get my money right. And he's like going off on the fact that when he gets to this platform and where he needs, he's going to create this massive thing. He said it in a song. Mm-hmm. Now he took it to a different level, but the idea...
Totally different level.
Yeah. But anyway. But the idea is when you create enough that you have a platform, what are you going to do? Right. And you have a choice. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, now we have this platform. What am I going to do about this thing that I view is something that's missing in the community? I'm going to go this direction. Yeah. And I want to create a space that is a representation of culture by the way people make you feel before you even touch an item on the menu. Yeah. Walking into that space, we need to make it feel welcome. So the painting on the wall, the photos, the way the staff greets you, the smile, the energy, the color, the loud music, everything has to tell the story before you even touch a dish. And that's what the focus was. Welcome. That was the idea. We're going to use that word as welcome. No matter where you're from, if you've ever been to the Caribbean before, you're going to feel welcome when you walk into that space. And we built everything back from that. And then the food was, we know how to make delicious food. We got amazing chefs, talents around us. Yeah. I am not worried about if we can make a really good jerk chicken. I'm not worried about that. What I'm worried about is how do I get a guest that has never had jerk chicken before to trust me to
understand it.
To understand it. So when you come in and the music is loud and you're like, man, it's a little loud in here, and the lights are a little bit dim, and you're like, oh, all of those things, I'm striking, I'm heightening your sensitivity without saying anything to you. I'm heightening it the whole time. And then when the jerk chicken hits and it's spicy, you're okay with that because you're like, shit, everything else has been extra. Why would I be surprised if that is?
Right.
So now there's not this jarring thing. You're in.
Of bright lights, styrofoam, overcooked chicken, and you're like, what the fuck?
Right, I walked up to this.
Yeah, right.
On my walk here, I didn't feel like that was what I was gonna get. You know what I mean? So we really focused on hospitality in that space, like focus, not us being able to naturally give it, but really letting that be the driving force. Mm-hmm. And then we created, and by us going to the Caribbean, we were able to like see and have a personal experience of how does people treat you. It's just like when you go to a different country and the kids, when you get out the airport and the kids are, you know what I mean? They're like, buy this for me.
Yeah.
That feeling, don't think about the physical, just the feeling of that. Capture that, think about that emotion of you are in a different space and people are like chanting and praising the fact that you're in their space. Yeah. How do we capture that and put that into a restaurant? Right? Where you walk in and people are like, I'm so happy you're here.
Yeah.
Come check this out.
Right.
That's what we need to capture, and that's what we need to hold on to and use that as our energy. So I'm doing it in the back of the house and in front of the house. When I walk into space, I'm like, what's up? How we doing?
Greeting the
right
staff
there.
When you come in, greeting the staff when you walk in, saying hello to everybody is the fucking most important thing you can do.
Most important.
As an employee or even a manager or whatever.
Yes.
Come and say hello to everybody. Man.
Yes.
Just sets the tone of, I'm here, I'm present.
Yeah.
And now, you guys need anything? What do you need? Okay, I'll be over here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you do the same thing with the guests and it resonates. Hey, I will die on the cross of we have to say goodbye to every single guest that leaves.
Yeah.
And if I see from the kitchen that there's nobody at the host stand, people are leaving, I run over to the host stand just so I can say goodbye.
Yeah. I know that about you. You did that. I know that about you 100%.
Yeah. Let's talk about Nicosi. Like, so how did the whole thing, let me ask you this. From the original idea from when you were 17, we said, we saw room for desserts.
Yeah.
We said, I want to have a dessert bar. How has that idea morphed into what you have now? Obviously a change, and you change, and your
100%.
style has changed, and everything has changed. But like, take us through the whole journey.
So the original thought of that was create this space where there's a bar. There's going to be a couple of pastry chefs in the back, just like when you go to your favorite neighborhood bar. There's a couple of pastry chefs in the back, and they're going to have all these things prepped out. And you're going to sit down, you're going to get a menu, and you're going to say, I want the chocolate dessert and the lemon dessert, and we're going to plate it up. It's going to be about 8 items. We're going to plate it up right in front of you, present it. Probably do something on top so you can see, but everything is happening. That was the original idea. It's going to be 10 seats, that's it. Then Emmer happens. Kanji happens. Hestia happens. And then I'm like, okay, I'm pulling inspiration from all of those things. I've traveled, been to a couple of different places. And then I figured out, I said, well, people have a way on how they eat, right? They want the acid first. Then they want the pasta, which is your umami. Then they're going to do this grilled steak probably, which is the bitter.
Yeah.
And then they're going to finish with something sweet. So if I am going to create a dessert bar, then I want to take you on that same familiar journey on how you eat. So it doesn't disrupt.
It doesn't tax the palate either.
It doesn't tax your palate. Right. And it doesn't disrupt your program, right? Because we're all programmed that way.
Yeah.
The menu laid out that way to program us to do that.
Right.
So why would I disrupt that? By trying to give you everything sweet at the same time, right? So when I figured that part out, I was like, whoa, what that did was open the door when you talk about creativity. Because now I don't only have to use dessert items. I can use beef, I can use oysters, I can do all of that when it comes to the umami section. And then when it comes to the bitter section, it opened up so many doors because you don't go to any restaurant and say, I'll have the most bitter dessert that you have.
Yeah.
So now I'm able to well, now I'm able to like dive deep into that and say, fuck it, we're gonna make a whole dessert based on nutmeg. And let's go for it. Because nutmeg has all these different, it has floral notes, so I'm able to dig in on that. And now I'm able to have this whole repertoire, you know what I mean, of ideas and ingredients that I can play with. And then with the umami, that just went skyrocket. I can touch any misos I want to. I can do, like I mentioned the oysters before, I can do oysters with coconut water, which is something that I experienced in Belize. Yeah. That I can now use in this capacity. Right. I can use cheeses, like, so it opened up that create. So these boxes now got way bigger. I'm like, oh, I like this. So let's keep going.
How liberating was that?
Oh my God, man.
I mean, it's like it became another pastry chef.
You just unlocked.
Yeah, you unlocked the secret, you know? Yeah.
Different freaking side of your brain of shit that's in front of you.
Tavel's just been standing there, just like waiting.
You're like, man, I got no chocolate, I got no strawberry, I don't know what to do. Now I'm like, I got the whole walk-in.
Right.
I know what to do now. And I can just kind of play with these things. So then I'm like, well, if I'm able to do that, then what it does is not only me, but it gives the chef that is going to take that position to run that thing and continue to grow it. It gives them so many arsenals that they can work with. Right. So then that was the first like eye-opening of like what I want this thing to be. So then I picked those flavors, profiles, and I locked in. I said, this is what it's going to be. Then it came to how many courses is this thing, and how much control do I want? Because as we are working for more control of ourselves and things around us. So after the pandemic, mental health came up big, right? And I'm like, what do I do? What is my contribution? Because I am very much that person, I look into self first before I look outside. And I said, what do I do now to help? In my small space, how do I create that? Okay, well, the issue is that I felt that we are not present enough. We're constantly carrying the trauma from the past. And we're constantly living...
whether we know it or not.
Exactly. And we're living with the anxiety of the future.
Yeah. It's a hard place to live, man.
It's a hard place to live. And a lot of us can't separate it.
Yeah.
And we fold in.
Yeah.
And I have those moments.
We
moments that I don't want to get out of bed. I'm like, I just want to stay here.
But you're aware of the moments.
I'm very aware of it.
That's the awakening. You're aware of the moments, and you know, fuck, I'm in this position. This is the way that I'm thinking. Let it pass through.
Yes.
Because this is not who I am, and then we'll just get back on track.
Exactly.
People don't have those conversations with themselves.
You gotta have those talks, right?
Yeah.
And the awareness of that,
Yeah.
and that comes with educating yourself on how emotions work. But then I said, okay, cool. So if I know and I'm hearing conversations in our community about this thing, then I'm going to create a space where you're no longer doing any transactions. The transactions happens before and after. So for this hour and a half, you are present and you have no option to not be. How do we do that? Great. Let's start by taking away the phones.
Take away the phones.
Let's say no phones. Here. Boom. Check. Next thing, no menus. You're not reading. You're here, you're present. Okay?
No preconceived notion.
No preconceived notion.
You're not worried about... Yeah, this looks great. I don't like
avocados.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You don't have that option.
Are you going to die if you eat it? Okay, then I'll make you something else.
Exactly, right? So boom, we did that. How is the seating in this space? Great. We're going to sit, instead of this long bar, now it's like a horseshoe. So now you're able to see people
interacting
all around you. We're going to make the spotlight in this space, whatever it is, in the kitchen is the focus. Everything else around is dark. Great. So I don't want anything on the walls, nothing. I want curtains all around. So when you're in here, just like the feeling that you have when you're in a movie theater, you're focused. Everything around you gets dark.
Or a concert.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Great. So then I check those boxes. And then we kind of like go through everything else without saying to you that I need you to be present. And because it's very triggering when you have those conversations. So I am no longer going to have the conversation. So I'm just creating this space where
You don't have a
nothing
choice.
else, you do not have a choice.
Yeah.
The only choice you have is whether you want to show up or not.
Yeah.
So we're changing this relationship to something of deeper meaning without us having to preach it. So and that's where that was my contribution into the mental health space on how do we create a space where people show up every day and just be present and be in the thing. That's my small piece. So I'm being very intentional with any concept that I'm connecting to. I think it's my duty to be intentional and not only have
No, go ahead.
not only have a thing of business and this serving of myself, but I also think about how do I serve the community that I live in. And if those two things align, then that's what it's meant to be. If they're not aligned, I have no excitement. I have no reason to indulge.
But the interesting thing you said is like you set it up where you have to be present, but you're not telling people to be present. And sometimes I go to yoga and I walk in the room and I'm present just because I know that this room is what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the teacher says, "Okay, everybody, get present," right in my mind, I'm like, "Shut the fuck up, man."
Yeah.
I'm already here. Like, "God, Jesus Christ, man. Do you need
Yeah.
to say that?"
Right,
I'm here.
right.
I'm here.
Yeah.
So it's like
of course.
it's not triggering, but if you tell somebody, "Okay, listen, you got to stay present. Give me your phone. There's no menu." People are gonna be like,
You're
"Fuck,
almost
man."
right. It's the
like
psyche.
you're set up to like resist.
Yes,
as opposed
100%.
to just showing up and being like getting swept up in what you're doing and all of a sudden next thing you know is like, "Oh, I didn't even know. I'm halfway through the meal and I didn't even know that there was no menu.
Right.
That I can't use my phone. That the spotlight's in the kitchen because I'm just laser focused on whatever because I am present subconsciously.
Yeah.
But if someone told me that,
Right.
there would be resistance.
Right.
It's really smart.
And then I got to create things to keep your attention.
to keep your attention.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why. Okay, we're gonna finish something in front of the guest.
Yeah.
That's
Set the
why.
intern on fire.
Yes. That's why we're gonna fucking pour the liquid nitrogen on the table.
Yeah.
Right.
People love that shit.
Exactly. I love it, man. The smoke, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You can never get bored of it.
Never.
That's why we're gonna torch something in front of you.
Or melt, or like I always loved, as cheesy as it is, like the dome, the chocolate sphere, and you pour hot stuff. Like,
And it melt like
God, if I see that on the menu, I'm like, I want it.
It never goes
I don't even
out.
care what the dessert is. I just want you to pour the thing so it melts in front of you.
100%,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like we're gonna do those things in that space, and then it's gonna come out, and then we're gonna use words. We're gonna use words that provoke thought. That is something that I am super passionate about. I don't need to be right, but I need to provoke thought. So I will come up, or I will suggest something that's outside of the norm.
Like, give me an example.
Like, for example, if let's say you're like, I love creme brulee. Then
I do love creme
there you
brulee.
go.
Yeah.
Then my provoke question would be, have you had anything that is similar to creme brulee that you liked?
Right.
And
Flan,
now it makes you
creme
think.
catalan, I can just name them all.
Great.
Right.
And then the next conversation is, what's the best flan you've ever had?
Yeah.
So we've just transferred that conversation from creme brulee, and then we're talking deeper into, well, I actually like custards with sugar crystals on top, or I like custards with sugar.
You're just doing 3-card Monty.
And then you're
You're just
great.
doing 3-card Monty. What do you like? And even though I have this, like, Dan Barber used to do this. So we sit at Blue Hill Stone Barn and there is no menu.
Right.
Like, oh, we're gonna ask you a bunch of questions and we're gonna create the menu. We know exactly what the fucking menu is back there. But you're gonna say, I like this, and they're gonna say, oh, you do. Would you prefer to have steak or lobster? Oh, lobster? Let me see what we can do. Oh, you like asparagus or do you like green beans? Let me see what we can do. And all they're doing is just guiding you into the
Right.
menu that's been predetermined hours before they even got here.
But
for them, it's like, holy shit, how did you guys do all this?
Right,
you know?
right.
Yeah.
You're just provoking thought, man.
Yeah.
And you're giving people the opportunity to not make final decisions in life, right? Like we all have learned over the years that final thing is probably not right.
Well, how many times you second guess that final thing?
I
Every
love
time I buy a
second-guessing
car and I
my
drive
shit.
off with it, I'm like, fuck, I should have bought this.
Yeah, I always second guess
Yeah.
everything.
Shit, I shouldn't have got the creme brulee. That looks way better. You know?
Right,
God
right,
damn it.
right.
Ah, I fucked up.
Yeah, even when I'm wrong, I
Yeah.
am going to second guess.
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
when
yeah.
I'm right, I'm
Yeah.
going to second guess and be like, could there be something that we could have done differently?
Mm-hmm.
Is there something that we're missing? My business partners will always could attest to that. Is there something that we're missing that we're not thinking about
Right.
that is present? We should think about that. We should think
I
about
remember
those
at
things.
Hestia you were asking those questions.
Yeah, when we were
you're
creating.
always asking. We'd be
Right.
arguing about something, and Kevin would be fucking going off about something, and you would just be like, over here, just take the conversation into like a left turn. And everyone would stop and be like, ah, fuck, yeah, he's kind of right.
Yeah,
you know?
like,
you
let's
always
just
provoke
think
and ask
about it
questions.
for a second, right?
Yeah.
And it could be the dumbest shit, but let's just think about. Let's
Right.
let's entertain the dumb shit for a little bit, and maybe something will come out of that we didn't know was present.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're right, and sometimes you're wrong, but that's okay. The idea to think and the freedom to think, we work hard for that, and we should utilize it as much as possible and stop letting other people think for us.
Fuck, man. Let's end it on that note, man. We, just to let you know, we didn't get to not one single question. And I feel like this was a fucking amazing podcast.
Yeah. Man, we got more time, man.
Yeah.
We got more time. We gotta do it again.
Always, man.
Yeah,
Always.
we gotta do it again.
What a pleasure it was talking to you, brother.
Yeah,
I
same,
really
man.
appreciate it.
Same.
People want to find you. Where do they find you, man? Tell us. Give us the
Instagram,
deets. Yeah.
Tavel19.
Yep.
Always reach out to me there.
And if you're in Austin,
If
or
you're
the
in
San
Austin,
Antonio area, start
come
naming them off, man.
come to Hestia, come to Emmer and Ryan. We just got the stars there, so
Yeah, man,
you
congrats
definitely
on that.
show up. Thank you. Come to Kanji, come to Izov, come to Kalimocho.
Yeah.
We're boots on the ground, so any day, at any point, you might catch me there. If you're in San Antonio, Pullman Market. Come through there. We got the concepts there. I'm pretty much living in Nicosi for a few days a week now, and then Ladino. You can check out.
Yeah.
That's such a fun space and delicious food. And then if you want to get a really good burger, you can find us at Hestia at Henbit. I'm probably outside eating the burger outside of the
Sounds good.
space.
So if you're passing by Henbit.
Look for me in the food
It'll be
hall.
there.
I'm sitting out there crushing. But yeah, man, this has been a pleasure.
Thanks
I appreciate
for telling the
it.
stories, man. This was amazing, man.
All right,
Thank
brother.
you.
You take care, man.